Here's what I need you to do. I need you to get a protractor and an old-fashioned paper map. Need to put the pointy end of the protractor on New Brunswick, New Jersey, then draw a 900 nautical mile radius around it. Because if you live within that circle, you need to come see Jay Black performing at the Stress Factory in New Brunswick, July 26th. That's a Wednesday. You got nothing going on a Wednesday. Come see me, Jay Black, performing. You can go to jblack.tv for tickets. That's jblack.tv. Or really, you're on your app. Just look in the app. There's a link in there. Just go to the link. Just click it. Come see me in New Brunswick. We're going to have such a blast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our new edition of the TV show. I think it's number 37 or maybe 38. Oh, we are thrilled to be here. Jay Black is not here today, but Rhea Hughes is. How you doing, Rhea?
How are you, Rich?
All right, now a couple things. First of all, Jay will be back from Iceland next week.
Thank goodness.
Just in time. We have avoided Succession for 2 weeks now, Rhea, by design. He's obsessed with it. We're not.
Yes.
But he will be back just in time after the series finale, Sunday night.
I heard.
9. And I have still been watching it. It's real good. And we got a whole bunch of good stuff today. In fact, what I got today, wow. One of my favorite TV shows is coming back, not in a reboot, after a 4-year hiatus. And I hate to steal your thunder there, Rhea, but it also has a lot of basis in British television.
Really?
As all great TV does, as we well know. All right, let us kick it off. This is something none of the mainstream media has covered yet, but I consider it historic.
Okay.
20 years ago, the number 1 rated show in America was not the Super Bowl. It was a show called American Idol. I don't know if you remember it, right, Rhea?
Yes, I do.
You know how many people watched the finale of season 2 20 years ago?
Oh,
Remember, this is bigger than the Super Bowl.
So the Super Bowl's around 100 million. So I'm going to guess.
No. That maybe it's not as big as the Super Bowl. It got 38 million views.
Wow.
Which for primetime TV now is unimaginable. Well, guess what? 20 years later, after its own little hiatus, American Idol wrapped up on Sunday night. 38 million 20 years ago. What do you think the number was for their finale right now this year?
5 million.
6. Very close.
Wow.
And here's the thing. It was canceled by Fox in 2016 when they had 8 million for the finale.
Was that when Simon Cowell was still on it?
I don't know. They changed so much.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think he had backed out a few years before. But its peak was 38, and its current number is 6 million for its finale, which they heralded as like this great show they were doing.
Yeah.
American Idol, ladies and gentlemen, is a carcass. It is death. And it has been warmed over because 6 million now is not a terrible number. Although I can't imagine they're making a lot of money given how much they have to produce that show. Rhea, why do shows remain on now for 20 or more years when their heyday is long past?
I can only assume it has to do with upper management because that's what it always has to do with. It has to do with somebody who's invested in the show, and they've got to still be getting advertising, even if the numbers aren't there, because otherwise they would have to be gone. I mean, I never watched American Idol, but I know you were addicted to it. Look at the stars that have come out of it. You've got Carrie Underwood, Kelly Clarkson. Some major stars have come out of it. So I don't know. I did kind of get into The Voice a little bit. I thought that was a pretty good show. But only because Clark and I like to watch it together. But I never got into that show, ever.
But here's the thing, Rhea. The fact that you're speaking in the past tense about The Voice tells you at some point you have reached your max limit, correct?
We stopped, yes. At some point, that's the point.
I was obsessed with American Idol. Now, I wouldn't watch it unless you had to prop my eyelids open and force me in front of a TV screen. I don't understand the concept. You understand, in the heyday of TV, which to me, a network TV, was the 70s, 80s, 90s, around there, no show went 20 years. You didn't do it. It was unheard of. Grey's Anatomy is still on. Who's watching it?
I've never seen a single episode, but I know the people in it. I mean, people love. I never got into hospital dramas. It was never my thing. ER back in the day with George Clooney. I'm classic for shows like that. For Grey's Anatomy, Lost, Prison Break, Blacklist. I love the original hook of that kind of shows. And then after 2 to 3 seasons, they've run through everything and you're going, okay, this isn't that interesting. They just run out of ideas for the original hook. So it's not interesting to me anymore. So I move on.
Let me tell you, it's ironic you say this because, my current addiction has been a show you recommended, Harrow.
Yes.
And I watched the first season. I really liked it. I watched the second season. I totally loved it.
Yeah.
They ran out of ideas after the second season. I got 4 episodes into the third one, Rhea. Suddenly they produced the son that he had that no one knew he had, including him. And they just started reaching for, they didn't have any more story to tell.
Because the hook was, we don't want to give it away, but you and I both know what the hook was. Yeah. The minute it lost it for me, and I'm still watching it because, I have a lot of other things going on, a job, a kid about to graduate, grade school. But when they got rid of the female detective Rhea, who I really liked. Yeah. And they brought in the hot 20-year-old.
Oh, she's
and I'm going, totally hot. Nothing against her, but I went, right. All right. Okay, you've lost me now. I liked the fact that their relationship was she was hot, but of a similar age. This woman's the same age as his daughter.
No, they ran out of ideas after by the second season, they were running low. That's when they brought in the babe. But I don't understand. Here's the worst example. And it's so ironic because of the title of the show. Survivor.
I know.
Rhea, it's been on 24 years. They've had 48 times Jeff Probst has gone to an island for a month and a half in a desolate whatever. It's over.
When did you stop watching it?
About 10 or 12 in. I did a decade. Don't I?
You and Wechter were massively hooked on it.
I want a trophy for doing a decade of Survivor. Little did I know. And my grandsons watch it, but they didn't watch the first. They weren't alive the first 10 years. What these shows now, I'm just going to say this. From now on, when a show is past its prime, since I know being past my prime myself, I am going to identify these shows and advise you to move on because for some reason, I think you said it here, there's some connection with some higher up in a network that won't let go when most of the public has let go.
Exactly.
All right, now let me move on to this is my favorite story of the week. This every once in a while I regret not being on radio because I love getting into this kind of stuff. So Charles Barkley was on a very prominent podcast last week, and he told a story about John Madden. Yes. Out of the blue one day, John Madden, the late great John Madden, called him up and said, "Hi, how you doing, Charles?" And he goes, "Charles, would you like to join me? I'm planning a lawsuit against the impressionist Frank Caliendo because he impersonates me and I'm not liking it. And I know he's impersonating you too. Would you like to join the lawsuit?" And Charles, is his account of this, John Madden isn't here anymore. He said, "John, aren't you flattered? I mean, we had Joe Conklin. You have Joe Conklin." Yeah. Yeah. I always was flattered when he did my voice because he could sing better than I could in this voice. Yes. And here's the bottom line on it. And this is the thing that if you go back to last Thanksgiving, there was this big splash honoring John Madden with the turkey and all that stuff, right? John Madden was a grumpy old man. Do you understand? Yes. John Madden was not. a charming, colorful character in a bus going cross country back and forth to cover all these games. He had no sense of humor about himself. And he portrayed as hilarious and lovable. And I guarantee you, if you met him on the street, he'd cross the street rather than talk to you. What
story you remember because you covered games there.
Yeah.
Remember what a decrepit elevator they had at the vet to go up to the press box?
I wouldn't get in it. Oh.
Yeah, well, I know you wouldn't get in it, but whenever he was getting in it, no one else was allowed on it.
They cleared everybody else out.
Cleared everybody, and the only other people they did that for were the owners.
All right, so here's what I'm trying to figure out. Why, when they know it, these guys that are honoring John Madden know that he is not this fun, colorful guy. He's actually a miserable guy who can't even laugh at himself. Why do they continue to present this image that they know is false?
It's money. Remember what happened with the Ellen show? Ellen show, which I found, like, I didn't watch it every day, but when I would watch it, I was amused by her. I thought she's really, her show is funny, and she seems like she's funny. It turns out working on that show was about as toxic as could be, but everybody else, the audience, including myself, thought she was lovable when in fact working on her show was a nightmare.
All right. And yeah, I've read about her. And she ended up finally walking away because the publicity kept getting worse and worse for her. But I'm just trying to understand. There's one thing to like a guy and then act like you like him more because, it's like, wow, it's cool. This guy. These people, let me give you the worst example in sports right now. Tiger Woods, right? Rhea, Tiger Woods doesn't even have to be in a tournament now for them to genuflect when his name comes up.
Yes.
But here's the reality of it. He's a horse's ass. He hates people. He's been bad to fans for a quarter of a century. And the networks continue because he draws ratings. I get it.
And I will watch golf if he's in a tournament, and I don't watch golf.
But he's a jerk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So why do I have to be told that he's this wonderful man? He just broke up with his girlfriend, and there's a lawsuit now. And she's telling all these stories about what a jerk he is. We know how his first marriage broke up. The guy's awful.
A lot of them are, but the thing is, Ange, they sell. And if you can just hide the off-air stuff, here's what I will say. When you retired, the best article that was written was by Marcus Hayes, who Marcus spent a lot of his time when you were on the air not liking you.
Yep.
And then he got to work with you and he understood why you did things. But he also, the article he wrote about you didn't sugarcoat anything about you.
In fact, most of the coverage when I retired was accurate in that I was hard to work with. I was very demanding and all that stuff. All of it was true. And I embraced that profile because that's who I was. But and I fought it, Rhea, at the end. I fought it when people started to go overboard with what an amazing person I was, because I'm not, I'd rather be accurate in the depiction.
Well, you're such a horrible person. I've continued to work with you after your retirement.
I think right outside, we're not on video this week, but there's a gun pointed at Rhea's head, and that's the only reason she's still doing it.
Real quick, it came up that Sixers are thinking hiring Mike D'Antoni, and I go, he's 72. And somebody goes, well, that's not old. I go, Angelo couldn't wait to get out of here at 71. So apparently it is old.
And my wife will tell you I was over the hill at 50. All right, let's get to Rhea Hughes in the British Corner. What do we got this week, Rick?
So last week I told you guys about The Missing and that I had only seen season 2 for some reason. I will tell you that I'm glad I saw season 2 because season 1, not that it's not brilliantly acted, not that it's like drama that will keep you on the edge of your seat. It's sad and it's hard for me to watch those kind of things. So The Missing is a detective show that is on Stars, 8 episodes, 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, 89% audience. It deals with the disappearance of a 5-year-old child, Oliver, while his parents are vacationing in France. The father, loses eyes on him for a second because there's a soccer game on, and he kind of turns to see the soccer game. Poof, the kid is gone. He spends the next 8 years looking for him. Detective Jean-Baptiste, who was awesome in season 2, is the original investigator, gets drawn back into it. I will say, I'm not going to give any spoilers. I found the ending to be very vague, a little too vague for me. Ooh. It's very good, but as a parent, it was very tough to watch. I will just say that.
So you're saying watch season 2, 1, not so much.
One, it's sad. And I don't like to, I recommend a lot of mystery shows, murder shows, that kind of stuff. This one was a little too sad for me.
Did it go to a season 3 or 4?
No. So what happened was, Missing went season 1 and season 2, which I loved. Now it's going to a different streamer called Baptiste. Something happened with the original writers. There was some kind of issue. So Baptiste, the detective, has found a new home. I'm going to check that out next because I love him. He's French, with English speaking, but he's phenomenal. So now he's taking it to a different streamer. So I'm going to check that out.
Okay, we're trying. The Missing on Stars. Rhea, what about the kids? What do we got for teens?
Okay, so now this, I know you don't like, cartoons or animation or like that. We stumbled on a movie that Clark has always loved, and I've not ashamed to admit I've always loved it. How to Train Your Dragon. Now, the first one came out. Clark was an infant, maybe a year old. We watched just a couple days ago How to Train Your Dragon 2. Here's why I'm going to recommend it for parents with teens, preteens, and even kids as young as 2 if you start out with How to Train Your Dragon 1. They figured out how to do a sequel. It was a perfect sequel to How to Train Your Dragon 1, which is about a young kid who finds a dragon who's kind of injured and trains them. And the townspeople are afraid of dragons, but he gets everybody to love them. It's funny. It's well done. The voices are all famous people who we all know. But what I will say about this, the entertainment value you will get out of it if your kid likes the first one. There are 3 of them: How to Train Your Dragon 1, 2, and 3. 4 is coming out in 2025. 92% critic rating, 90 audience.
Wow.
And there are 3 TV series that cropped up around it. Clark has watched it for years. And if I'm in the same room and he's either got the movie on or the TV show on, I find myself sitting down and watching like 20 minutes of it. So it's something as a parent.
Where will we see it?
It's on Netflix. It's on a lot of stuff, but you can get it on Netflix. But it's something I'm telling you, as a parent, you got a 2-year-old, and you can watch it with your grandkids.
Yeah, that little kids.
Yeah, I said to Clark, I didn't realize it came out in 2010. He was barely a year old.
Yeah.
So we started him in How to Train Your Dragon 1. They'll miss a lot of like the intricate stuff, but they're young kids can start out with it, and you can get a lot of energy out of it. That's all I'm saying. That's how good it is.
Side note, Rhea.
Yes.
I can watch it with my grandkids. So I spend a lot more time with them now. And I have the TV on all the time. And I was watching something when they just came in. And 2 people, I believe it was 2 women, were getting affectionate with one another.
No, with your what were you watching?
No, it was not. No, Rhea, it was a regular show. There's a lot more of that now. And the oldest one, who's 4, asked me what was going on there. Ask your mother. I got nothing, and I turned it off. But I am looking. The next time we're going to try Dragon. There's not a lot of affection in that movie, right?
Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon. It's fun. It's a cartoon, but there's humor, Ange, that you will get that they won't get. So it's kind of remember when Cars came out. It's kind of in the same vein.
What were you watching? You're asking. What do you think I got? All right. Anyway. Let me give you a couple of things here that are really exciting, and I didn't see anything I thought was great this week, and I'm not going to recommend something I didn't think was great, but I got some news that's great.
Okay.
One of the best shows. It has not been on in 4 years. It is on Netflix, and it's called Black Mirror, and it is Twilight Zone-like, but solely in the tech world. It's like
I tried to watch it the first time around. It didn't connect with me.
It's really innovative. What makes it innovative? There was an episode. It's been in 5 seasons, but they've only had 15 episodes because they're taking the model of Great Britain. It's a lot of these are very short seasons, 3 or 4 episodes. They did one called Bandersnatch, right?
Okay.
That was I still only seen it in this. You could basically decide how the show goes. They reached points in the movie where it said, do you want to go this way or that way? And I have even when I was working, I had so much time that I would go back and see the other variables because they took.
Can I just tell you something, Ange? I don't want to work that hard when I'm watching a show.
All right, that's only one of them. All right,
just
fair
deliver
enough.
the show.
Fair enough. Now, here's where it's going to be a problem because I want you to catch up. Because after a 4-year hiatus, not for the pandemic, 4-year hiatus caused by legal issues of major.
Okay.
The showrunner is a brilliant British writer and showrunner, Charlie Brooker. He's great. And he writes most of the episode. It will be back on Netflix next month with 5 new episodes. Okay. And these are precious. The last one they did, the star of it was Miley Cyrus, believe it or not.
Wow.
She was good. She was really good in it.
She's really talented.
Back.
Really
now, here's one thing I'm going to warn you.
Okay.
Don't start. They're all standalone episodes. Don't start with the first one because the first one, basically, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, in order to save the life of someone, has to have sex on live TV with a pig. I mean, actually, no, Rhea, no.
I'm out.
No, Rhea, it's British.
I'm British. Sorry. I would have to say you're going to have to die. I just,
it's not, no.
It'll grossed me out for the rest of the night.
They don't show the action. It's all I can tell you. Don't start with that one. So if you're looking for one, St. Junipero is in it. It got Emmys. It was a brilliant episode. There's a lot of great ones. It'll be back next month, and it's really great. And you have 5 seasons, 15 episodes to go through in the next month to really get a sense for how innovative and different this show is. I think you'll love it. And the other thing I want to tell you about, now we're actually taping this on a Tuesday, but by the time you hear it, a new show on Apple Plus will be available, and I have a very good feeling about it because I actually was at the studio, I believe it was Paramount,
right,
when they were actually doing the show, the first season. Okay. It's called Platonic, and Rose Byrne and Seth Rogen are in it, and I dimed out Rose Byrne. We were in a tour bus going down the main drag, and I saw her because I had seen her in a show she was doing.
She's a redhead, right?
Physical. No, but she's really pretty.
Okay.
And I yelled out in the tram, "Oh, Rose Byrne!" It was very awkward. I actually told us on the show. But this is the reason why I know it's going to be good because Rose Byrne and Seth Rogen were on a movie together, Neighbors, which was really a crazy movie, but their chemistry was off
I heard this is getting really good reviews.
It was really good. And here's the thing about Platonic, right? This one, in the first one, they were married and there was a lot going on there. In the second one, they truly are trying to address in this TV show, is it possible for a guy and a girl to be good friends and nothing more?
You've never thought so.
Well, Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne, he doesn't have designs on her. Look at her.
Yeah, but she probably doesn't have designs on him.
Well, that doesn't. Anyway, this show is going to try to sell you on the concept that neither one has any desire to sleep with the other, but but it looks great. And maybe I just say that because I was actually at the studio when they did it. But I really like it. It's on Apple Plus, Platonic, and I have a really good feeling about it. It is now out. It will come out actually.
Good reviews.
It's gotten good reviews, and Apple Plus has been on a good roll recently, and I got a good feeling. All right, the last thing I just want to mention this because I think it's an injustice. We're in the second week now of a writer's strike showing no signs of being over. It's going to have a major impact on everything we're watching down the road because nothing's being done right now. Most of the stuff that writers write is not being written, so it's not being produced, it's not in production, and they're going to fall behind. And here's the question I want to understand. Sure. Understanding that I just spent the last 5 months writing a book, and I know writing is hard. Writing takes a lot. And in fact, even worse is when they get to edit it. This is like root canal, Rhea. They did a fact check on my book.
Oh, God.
Many of the things I said in the 33 years on that radio show, I'd like to apologize for. They were not all that accurate. Most of them weren't, and you said to me one time, accuracy is not really an issue. Well, so I let it go. This was different. This was Rhea. I found out stuff I've been saying that I put in the book that the fact checker said, well, this isn't true. I looked up the play. You're wrong. Joe Juravicius is one. Rhea, Joe Juravicius on the play that you never stop referencing. Yes. He didn't score. It wasn't. No, I know he didn't. I thought he did. No, but he. I mean, how long did he take it back? He took it back a while. No, 70-some yards. Yeah, the joke is he's still running down Patterson Avenue. But I thought he scored. They had to inform me. Some guy who never followed Philadelphia sports had to inform me that I don't know what you're talking about. He didn't score. It wasn't a touchdown. Oh, my God, that's awesome. All right, but here's the question I want to ask about writing. Why don't writers get more respect and more money? When you're watching a show, it's the start of it, the idea of it is the writers. But in movies, my God, or just regular writers, John Grisham's worth $400 million. Exactly. Why don't I've read every single one of his books. Yeah, okay, so you know how good he is. Aaron Sorkin, who also did a lot of movies, but he's worth $90 million. Why do they not value the writer as much in television as they do in other venues? See, it's interesting. So I wanted to do some research on this. So I read an article in GQ. GQ did the whole thing. It's a hierarchy. So you start out as a writer on a show, young writer, and you get the opportunity to write. You get to visit the set. You get to see how things go. And then maybe you become a showrunner, okay? And then you move up to director. So what's happening now with what they want to do, they want to remove that, and they want to put these writers, basically make them, how you have session musicians? Yeah. Where, they'll just come in, they'll do a writing, whatever, boom, and they never get to the point where they go from writer to showrunner to director to producer. If you don't have that arc, that career arc, you may never have The Sopranos. If David Chase doesn't get a chance to write for Kolchak the Night Stalker, maybe he never gets to write The Sopranos. What if the other guy, the big one, Game of Thrones, George L. Martin, was a young writer? I think it was his first gig on The Twilight Zone. Wow. So these people get, these writers, they start out with, they have a lot of writers, Ange, but the ones who are really good move up to all these things. What the strike wants to do is to remove those opportunities from the writers to ever get near a set, which means they're never going to become a David Chase or a George L. Martin. But yeah, they're the ones who come up with the creative ideas. It's Rhea, what if you're just a writer? You don't want to do the other stuff. Sure. But then you're always going to be lower on the totem pole, even though it's your words, it's your idea. You're still not going to get the respect that a director, a showrunner, all the other people got. It doesn't seem fair. Then you probably have to write books. You have to write books because then your name will go on it. Well, as somebody who will soon be a published author, I am on the author's camp, the writer's camp in this fight for what it's worth. When is it coming out? My book will be out. In fact, you'll probably see a lot of me right around that time. Plan around Thanksgiving. It'll be something. Will I be booking you? You will. I don't know. Maybe not, Rhea. I don't know. Maybe the new show probably has higher standards than when I was doing it.
No, actually, we had Jonesy on and Al on this week.
Right. Okay. It's telling me now that we're actually running out of time. So I just want to review what we got. Here's what we got so far, Rhea. The Missing. Watch The Missing. Probably season 2 is the best use of your time, right? How to Train Your Dragon 2 is the latest one, but you can see all 3 of them on Netflix. Rhea recommends those as well. I'm telling you, you got a few weeks before Black Mirror comes back. Check it out on Netflix. You'll love it, but don't watch the pig episode first. And don't forget, Platonic is now available on Apple Plus. I haven't seen it yet, but I have high hopes on it. And needless to say, the finale for Succession is Sunday night at 9. All right, thank you all. Next week, Jay Black, we'll be back. Rhea, you got something for us?
Just waving goodbye.
Good to see you, Gary. It's always fun talking to you.
Bye, Gail.
Have a great week, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.